All right, down here at the property, got the Jeep behind me, walking back the driveway, had to come down and pick up a few things quick. But I want to talk quickly about what I believe is the very dark future for America. And I'm just going to come right out and tell you right up front, I think that this is going to become a huge mining and resource extraction nation in the future. I think that the dark powers that be, in order for them to have the technological future that they need, in order for them to survive, and what the Bible would call the mark of the beast system, they're going to need to have some place where they can extract a huge amount of rare earth minerals and metals of all kinds, and even timber and whatever else. But they can't do it right now because there's too many people on the land here in America. And so their coming agendas are going to be done to eliminate the people, which I'll show you the proof of that here in just a minute, and or talk about the proof, I should say. But they need to eliminate people in large numbers in order to not have any resistance. Okay, if you are familiar with the ministry here, I actually fought against Wolfton mining in this area here. To the north of me is Picket Mountain, up in the above Baxter State Park. And just a beautiful area, very nice area, and they wanted to mine here. This company, which they've actually been accused of human rights violations in Burkina Faso as ore zone over there, and now they just came here. They're a Canadian company, and now they're calling themselves Wolfton, and thankfully it was shot down and the whole thing was defeated. They did not get permission to mine, but I imagine it's only a matter of time before that land is sold off to some other big, metal mining company, Altius, or I forget what there's actually a Chinese-owned one. And but why would China be buying all of this farmland and everything else? Why? Bill Gates, why is he buying lots of farmland here in America? Unless there's a future purpose for them to exploit this country for their purposes. And I think that's exactly what's going on. And but this whole thing came back into my mind because my son and I, he was asking me about this place in Pennsylvania. I don't know if many of you might have heard of this. It's called Centralia. And Centralia was a small town, and it's near Ashland, the town of Ashland, PA. And that town, there was a whole big thing that happened back many years ago. I think it was in the 1960s or something like that. And they actually had a coal fire. There was coal mining going on in the area, and there were big coal mines, anthracite coal mines underneath the town of Centralia. And the town was burning trash and things, which in the 1960s was legal, I guess. And one of these trash fires got away from them, and it lit these coal mines on fire, and they had to evacuate the town, and they had to force people to leave. And but there's a lot more to the story than that. I was in Centralia a number of times. We went to the little mining museum thing there in Ashland, PA, which is kind of weird because we have Ashland, Maine right to the north of where we're at right now. And but I've been there. I've been to Centralia. I've walked on the streets and things as a boy back in the 1980s, and so it was still, a good number of people living there back then. But watching this documentary on YouTube, a lot more truth came out that I was not aware of. And they were showing that the government came in and they basically, go back farther, when the whole fire thing got started, local people were saying we could put this out fairly easily, we can do it, and no. And then there's some company came along and said, we'll do it, we'll contract to put this fire out. And again, they fooled around the politicians until the fire could not be put out. And then it was, okay, we need to start getting people out of here, and we'll give you money for your home. But then they were showing people that their tax assessed value was, $36,000 or something, we'll say in the 1970s. And the government was offering them like $11,000. like a third of what the tax assessed value was. And they were saying, you know, if we don't take the money, then they say we'll never get another offer from the government. So we have to take the money. There isn't anything we can do. Very curious. And then people still fought it, and they said, no, we're not leaving. And the government basically said, okay, you can stay until you die, but then you can't give your house to somebody else. And it was weird because the town still existed somewhat when I was there as a boy. But this documentary, I think it was done in 2022 or something. And it's all just, you know, looks like this. I mean, it's just, you know, you can kind of see here behind me that that's our trail there that I made. But it just kind of looks like that, like where the streets would have been in this town. And it's all just trees growing up now. But they brought up a point in this documentary, which I thought, that's very telling. The point was that they said that there are some studies that have been done where they found something like $2 trillion worth. It was either anthracite, coal, or some other metals or something that are there underneath the town. Maybe there's a cause for the government saying you need to evacuate. We need to get people out of this town. And of course, if you're aware of what happened down there with North Carolina, the hurricane that came through here, what was it, a year or two ago, something like that. And the hurricane came through and there was all this flooding, and people's insurance companies weren't willing to pay for the damages because it was, they didn't have flood insurance. And they said, well, we didn't need flood insurance. We're on the side of a mountain, you know, but we weren't expecting to have these huge, you know, rains and downpours and things. And a lot of people suspected weather modification techniques, which are documented. Cloud seeding has been proven that it works. You can create huge amounts of rain and do certain things to make storms get bigger or make storms get smaller. Almost like they might be trying to empty out the population of America. And then I see some of the bigger influencers and things on YouTube. Clayton Morris from Redacted, and he puts out some good information. Him and his wife, they put out some good information, some things out there. But then he's talking about, you know, investing in mining stocks. And I've seen a lot of the other Patriot guys, and they're talking about investing in mining stocks. Well, you know, mining is, there's some major issues there. And I'm all for precious metals, certainly. But the point is, with precious metals, because people said, oh, you're a hypocrite, Denlinger, because you're for precious metals, but you're against mining. Well, if there's a certain limited amount of precious metals, then the value of precious metals goes up. But if you're constantly mining it, then they can keep the prices suppressed. All right, so that's my stand on that. And there are different ways that you can extract gold and whatever without all the toxic stuff, but then there's not much money in it, and that's another issue. But people have all these devices, you know, their cell phones, their smartphones, and all the other things, and all the big brother tech that they want to come out with. And you know, how are they going to get the metals for that? They're going to have to do it someplace. They've been exploiting Africa and doing horrible things to the land over there in Africa. But America's got some real mineral-rich areas, and I believe that's the purpose. And of course, in the Bible, if you study end times prophecy, it's all the kings of the East, Eastern powers, things over there, Russia, China, India, you know, those types of areas, and of course, Jerusalem, right there. You know, Israel, the land of Israel. There's a lot of major activity there in the end times. But there's not any mention of a Western superpower like America. Meaning that America is going to get wiped out. And of course, you look at some of the things of artificial intelligence, and that's going to be taking a lot of the service sector jobs. And you know, again, it just blows my mind. I went to Lowe's up in Presque Isle, here in northern Maine, and they don't even have a regular cash register anymore. Down in the one section, like where you would get the just regular stuff, it's all self-checkout. And And yet you go down to the lumber area and there's still people there that you can actually talk to, a real person that will actually check out, you know, and scan your stuff and whatever else. And I'm thinking, you know, how much longer? My son was joking about it this morning. He said it probably just gets to the point where there'll be these robots there, you know, what lumber do you need? What things can we get for you? You know, you stay out of the store. You're not qualified to be in here and whatever. I mean, it's getting to be that bad. But and I need to say this about this whole self-checkout line thing. I think if you are at all patriotically minded, you need to resist that and insist on having somebody real to talk to. It's a very bad thing, a very slippery slope. And see, part of your the bill that you pay there, part of the money that you're paying at a store is going to pay for the employees. So why should you do the work of an employee? I'm going to go over there, I'm going to have my own bags. I'm not going to get the store giving me bags anymore. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to do the work of a cashier. Excuse me? No, I am paying extra money for this food, a premium, so to speak, for the food, so that some of that money can go to pay for the employees. Not so that some greedy store owner can pocket it because he's getting the people to do the work that his employees used to do. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so no, I don't use the self-checkout lines. And you say, what other things can we do to resist this New World Order agenda? Well, there are lots of things. Don't bother writing your congressmen or your senators and state representatives and all that. I used to fall for that thing, you know. Write them and tell them and let them know. They're so out of touch with us anymore. I mean, but don't worry, Trump will do it. You know, Trump, he's a real guy there. Just hides the Epstein list and all the other stuff. Yeah, right. Been a liar since day one. You don't get to become a multi-billionaire by being an honest, just type of a person. That doesn't happen. But your politicians aren't going to help you. Politicians are actors paid by corporate interests. That's what your modern politician is. There's only one way to turn this thing around, okay? And I shouldn't even say turn it around because it is prophesied that it will happen. You say, well, then there's no point in fighting. That's not what the Bible says. The Bible says that we are supposed to let, or in other words, hinder the Antichrist system. That's our job as Christians. We're supposed to slow it down, to mess it up, to do things in such a way that it causes frustration on their part. And that's what we're supposed to do. But my channel exists to provide arguments and ways of thinking for people that have, you know, enough open-mindedness that you can look at some other perspectives and realize that Brian Denlinger is not some kind of a corporate church guy, an organized religion guy, and whatever. I'm not. I'm rejected by 99% of professing Christianity. They hate me. I mean, literally hate me. Because I tell the truth about their system. And they don't like that. But what I'm trying to get you to understand out there is this very dark future. And of course, you know, I realize that there are city people that watch me, that you are disconnected from this life out here. This is my land that I'm walking around on. And it's weird too, because after I did the whole Wolfton thing, I got a whole bunch of offers from other states, you know, wanting to buy my land. But if you're living in the city, you just think, oh, this will be out there for my enjoyment and whatever else. The slave future that they have planned for you, especially as if you're in the city, you'll be bussed out to a place like this where you could possibly take a little hike and whatever, and you'll just be, oh, don't look over that way. No, there's nothing over that way. That road going back in there that you see the big trucks coming out with the, you know, loads of stone and things in them. Hey, don't worry about that. You say, wasn't there a mountain over there before? I remember seeing a mountain. No, no mountain ever existed. We'll just change Google AI stuff to pretend that Pickett Mountain didn't exist, and then Mount Chase, and then Mount Katahdin, and then all these different mountains. No, they never existed. It's, you know, Xi Jinping Mining Company or something, or Ping Gates Mining Company or something. And Trump, you know, probably get in there too. And just, you know, had another thing come to my mind. I think it was Antietam or something like this, one of the historic Gettysburg, or one of the historic Civil War battlefields, and they want to build a data mining center there. You know, oh, okay, just, yeah, historic battlefield and whatever, and we're just going to go and build a data mining center there. But see, that's what they want. That's the dark future of America. That's why I believe America is not mentioned in Bible prophecy. Because this nation is going to fall, and it's going to fall very hard. And when it does, all the big mining companies and all the other companies are just going to come in and buy up everything for pennies on the dollar, and just send in the trucks, man. Just send in there, and we'll just, you know, get all the metals we need from America, because so many of these people are dead now and whatever. And it's ironic too, because the Bible actually says, I think it's in Revelation 10, chapter 10, that the Lord remembers those that have destroyed the earth. And he says, that thou shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. So destruction of the earth is something that, is going to be happening in abundance. And, let me just say this about the timber industry, which I used to work in a little bit. Right here on the ground, you can see that right down there is an old rotted stump, okay? That was cut down probably in 2014, before we owned this property. That was when it was logged, 2014. And it's pretty much just rotted and going back into the soil there. Over here, on the other hand, you can see over there, like right there, that one actually was my son. He cut that tree down. We were doing firewood, and cut it down, and then I flush cut it. And there's one behind it, and there's a couple other trees back in through here that we felled to make this trail going back through. And you can see the forest looks absolutely fine, looks really nice. We prune our trees here and everything, get the dead branches off down lower so that the trees are healthier. You can log, and here's the point, and the trees come back. That's not destroying the earth. Now, there are some logging practices where you have, some forms of clear cutting, cut and run logging, as some people nickname it, where they fell a whole bunch of trees and they do a terrible job, and they're skidding logs across, grades going down, slopes going down, and they cause erosion. Once the soil is eroded, you can't grow plants out of it and things. It takes a long time to get good soil. So there's all kinds of restrictions on, logging on sloped ground, and there should be. So this isn't what the Bible's talking about when it's talking about destroying the earth. All right, but how do you destroy the earth? Mining. Mining is what destroys the earth. You start blowing up mountains and destroying the mountains and grinding up things, and you have these big pools of water or whatever else, where the slurry and things that they put in there from their mining waste. I remember we went to one of these meetings against Wolfton, and Wolfton, for a little while, they couldn't get permission from the Land Use Planning Commission to make their slurry pond thing near Pickett Mountain, north of us. And so they wanted to put their slurry pit, I think, down in Washington County or something, down near the ocean. And I remember this woman from the town, thing down there, and she said, Wolfton wants to use us as their toilet. I thought, oh, well said. They want to mine up here, and then they use chemicals to separate the metals from the just regular rock and whatever granite, whatever other types of rock are there. And then those chemicals, they have to do something with them. Oh, what do we do with this? Oh, we'll just make this rubber lined pool thing, and then we'll just put the chemicals there. Not like that would affect the wildlife or anything. Some poor bird, goes over and, lands in it or something, or a deer goes and tries to get a drink, not knowing what this slurry stuff is all about. And it's acceptable losses so that you can have your smartphone and get good connectivity in the city. See, city people don't understand this. I see these just stop oil people, and they're out there, we have to stop oil. Oil is going to destroy our future. No, actually, oil has its problems. Don't get me wrong, the big petrochemical industry, but that's not the real danger. The real danger is all this electronic stuff. And that's what the Bible warns about. That's the whole thing. And again, we were talking about this morning, and I was saying about, if they ever get robots controlling everything at Lowe's, they'll probably say, oh, your social credit score is not good enough for you to get lumber, and you didn't have things cleared with the local town office, so you can't get the wood to build the deck on the back of your house because you haven't had permission. I mean, and I just was trying to illustrate the point that it's going to be a nightmare future. The reason people can't get saved after they take the mark of the beast is when you take the mark of the beast in the future, you literally lose your free will. And that's what these devils want, these satanic devils. You know, go way back to the Garden of Eden in the Bible. And even if you are an atheist and you say, I don't believe in any of it, it's all fairy tale. Okay, listen to the concepts here. Okay, because you have to understand there's a spiritual realm, and these globalists are into this spiritual stuff. Okay, so please understand the concept of what I'm saying here. And if you believe the Bible, you'll understand where I'm going with this. And that is, you go back to Genesis chapter 3, and Satan tells Eve what? Ye can be as gods, knowing good and evil. Well, if you can be a god, if you can eventually say, I can get to the point of becoming a god, well, what does God give us? The real God of the Bible. He gives us free will. That's why they're suffering, because God said, I'm going to let you choose your life and whatever, and some people choose some really evil paths. All right? And God has his way of stopping them and moving things and whatever else, and he punishes them for all of eternity. Those who choose evil as their free will choice. But if you want to be a god on this earth as a person, what do you have to do? You have to take away people's free will. And you see, that's the whole point of this. Take away the people's free will by controlling them through technology. What was the clergy plan? We have to conquer the North by technology. Use the use of technology. All right? It's all right there. If you believe that everything happened in the first century, all the book of Revelation, it's already been completed, you have been deceived on a very big level. Okay? Very big level. No, everything didn't happen in the first century. The nightmare world that is described in the book of Revelation is in the future. It's coming. And if you can do some research, you will see that I'm right. And this beautiful place where the Lord has allowed me to live up here, as long as I'm alive on this earth, I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to fight for people's freedom. That's what I want. And if you're an atheist, I'm fighting for your freedom. I'm not going to force my religion on you. You might have to be annoyed by my bumper stickers or my signs on my office or whatever else, and okay, live and let live, you know, what other things you want to say there. But I'm not going to come and force you and put you to death if you don't believe what I believe or something else. Not at all. And I'm trying to fight against the religious fanatics that want to do that to you. All right? We have to resist this mining agenda. And you have to do things to survive. And ultimately, the only way to really fight these devils back is spiritually. That's why I preach what I preach. I don't want you going and being part of some dead plastic organized religion of coffee shops and nice things and pretty music and whatever else. That's not going to help you. That's not going to help the situation in this country. What you need is you need to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And God will reveal these things to you. And you'll say, that makes sense. In North Carolina, they're getting people off the land. Okay. We can no longer inhabit this area. Hey, these wild areas here, you know, we need to start mining in our backyards. Let's invest in mining companies. Mining is where it's at. Mining, mining, mining. Yeah, also known as destroying the earth. If it's wrong to do it in Africa, and it is, then it's not right to do it here. Well, we have to do this, though, for our future. They're sick monsters. So, just wanted to put this out there. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. That's my advice to you. Thank you very much for watching.